No matter where you go in Russia, its heroic past is never far away. Centuries of warfare have forged a nation with a military will. Against its invaders, Russia spared no quarter. I'm Roland Osborne, and I'm here to meet some of Russia's modern warriors and discover their fighting traditions. Riding in a Mi-8 isn't exactly my idea of no-frills flying, but it was the fastest way to get to my destination. I was heading to a classified army base in Moscow to learn about Russia's fighting arts, Go Warrior style. Everybody knows Russia for its incredible military force and some of the toughest soldiers around, but I'm here to meet some of the world's deadliest martial artists. Meet the Spetsnaz, Russia's elite special forces. This unit does it all, from counter-terrorist attacks to espionage missions. These guys pack some serious firepower. But their training isn't just about handling big weapons, it's also about fighting in unarmed combat. Few people know that Russia is actually home to several martial arts. Since the 10th century, various Russian ethnic groups like the Slavs and the Cossacks developed their own native fighting styles. Over the years, the Russian Special Forces combined these styles into a secret art and called it Systema, or the system. Until recently, outside of the Special Forces, very few people knew what Systema was. My journey took me here to a remote training complex, where I was to learn more. The difference between Russian martial arts and other martial arts styles is that there's no forms, there's no katas, there's no predetermined stances. They had to develop a style that was very effective, yet very easy to learn. One important rule when coming to class is you have to come to class with an open mind. All things are not what they seem to be. This was Vladimir Vasilyev, former Spetsnaz and Systema specialist. Systema is one of the few martial arts that trains you to fight off multiple attackers. With attacks coming from all over, Vladimir became a human fighting machine. The secret of Systema was its three-dimensional, free-flowing approach to fighting. It was unlike anything I'd seen before. Vladimir was more like a body mechanic than a martial artist, as he taught me how to use my body in a whole new way.
Like the whole body works.
It's about very relaxed. They improvise. Any move that just flows. The class continued with Colonel Michael Rabko, Vladimir's guru. Michael was a master of movement and taught the system like a ballet class. To prove there were many different ways to handle an attack, Michael asked me to take him on. Although he was big, he moved fast and outmaneuvered me with ease. Round 2 was the punching session. I was hitting Sergey as hard as I could, but he wasn't budging.
Now it's his turn.
When Michael took his turn, it was a completely different story.
And this is pretty much the direction I gave him towards the spine.
The Russian style of punching was an art in itself. It wasn't how hard you punch, but where and how you landed it. The direction of your punch is related to the direction that you push your attacker. So for instance, if he punches me here in the side, he can spin me off in the direction, pushing me off this way. If he wants to push me straight, he wants to push me down, he pushes straight back, this direction. If he wants to push me to the other side, or down like that, He can actually force me and turn me in any direction he wants by the way he punches. With my initiation over, Michael and Vladimir took me out to give me a taste of downtown Moscow. What kind of hat is this?
This is Budenovka. Budenovka.
Across Russia's landscape lie icons of its warrior heritage, but few realize the important role religion played in this tradition. The samurais have Shinto, the Shaolin monks have the temples, and the Russians have the Orthodox Church. Some Russians believe that their faith in God makes them holy warriors. The famous symbol of St. George slaying the dragon represents the triumph of good over evil. Saints like him were warriors who eventually became one with God. Later that evening, Michael invited me to his place of worship at his home. This is truly incredible. Michael has built his own chasovnya, which means a private chapel. And he comes in here and he prays to the saints and the warrior saints, which help protect him and his family. Even today, soldiers like him see themselves as Russian Orthodox warriors. They exist to fight for their family, country, and God. This is Michael's patron saint right here. This is Saint Michael. Michael had served in the Army's Special Operations Unit and had seen a lot of combat in his time. Systema had given him a philosophy and appreciation for life that went beyond fighting. For my protection, Michael gave me a blessing and told me there were deeper aspects I would have to master in the days to come. I have a special present for you that I'd like to present to you. Hank Williams, Dolly Parton, Johnny Cash. Good stuff?
Yes.
Spasiba.
Thank you.
In my next session, I had to learn the breathing techniques that form the foundation of Russian martial arts. Systema emphasizes proper breathing to prepare both mind and body for combat. Before I could learn how to fight, I had to learn how to breathe. What Alexander was explaining to me is that life begins and ends with breathing. You unconsciously think about breathing every day, but by learning how to breathe, when you're fighting, you have to be relaxed, you have to breathe just normally. What happens is a situation happens, you get scared, you get tense, you stop breathing. So by doing these breathing exercises, you don't have to worry about breathing, you don't get tired, you don't get tense, you just real relax. And it's a very important part of the Russian martial arts training. Later, it was Vladimir's turn to show me the Russian style of knife fighting. Systema trains you to move so fluidly, you can defend yourself in hundreds of ways.
When I have a knife, right, when I start to touch you, like what I do, I push you. No, you react. When I touch you, you react like when the direction comes. So this way you study it. If the contact comes, at least you have a chance to move, not freeze.
The secret is in timing your move against the knife at the point of contact.
You inhale, bring the shoulder forward, and stop.
By simply moving and breathing, Vlad demonstrated how everything in Systema came together. Huh. That's all you gotta do. The art of knife defense with no hands. What Vladimir was showing me was once a classified secret in the Soviet era. However, the recent past brought about freedom and change, and Russia's martial arts had made a comeback among the people. On my last day in Moscow, Michael invited me to a celebration of Russian fighting at the Dynamo Sports Complex. The Minister of Justice gave his support. People came to fight, and everyone had a great time. After training with Michael and Vladimir, I continued my search for the roots of Russia's martial arts. My train ride would take me south to the Rostov region, better known as the land of the Cossacks. The Cossacks were descendants of the Mongolian Tartars. They had served at the core of Russia's armies for centuries and were legendary for their military exploits and skill. These guys were Russia's original special forces. The Cossacks invited me to a welcome party in the village of Stanitsa Novoanninskaya. The Cossacks had a style of dance fighting that was similar to what I had seen in Moscow. This was the way of celebrating life and preparing for battle. These guys had some wild moves. I was here to meet Zhenya, a former Spetsnaz soldier who promised to show me more about the Cossacks' traditional way of fighting. Thank you. Very little is known about the Cossack style of martial arts. It was passed down from Cossack to Cossack through the ages. This may look like plain folk dancing, but there's more to it than meets the eye. All the little moves that they use while they're dancing can all be used as self-defense techniques. It also helps them to warm up their body. Very interesting, some of the moves that we work on right now. Hooking the body here, bouncing it off the body. So this little dance move right here, hooking, bam, that way, right in there.
Можно.
This move. What he's doing here is he's showing that the strikes are going to different parts of the body. Some of the strikes are hitting to the head and the groin at the same time, hitting with the fist. He's raking the body, he's hitting it inside to the solar plex, to different parts of the body. One of the Cossack styles that's very important in their system of fighting is when their attacker hits the ground, they always finish them. They never leave them standing or never leave them breathing. This is the way the Cossacks finish their attacker. Ta-da! The next morning, the Cossacks took me out to the fields to showcase their fighting skills. They say the Cossacks are among the greatest riders alive. As the vanguard of Russia's cavalry, their skills were second to none. Their specialty was chasing the retreating enemy on horseback and slicing them down with their sword. I'm gonna cut the hat. Do it. Watch. I got it. Let's go, I'm ready. It was time for my Cossack initiation. But I just couldn't hack it. Let me try it again. Hold on, go back. Don't be surprised if you see some young Cossacks holding weapons. They're still raised to learn the fighting traditions of their forefathers. The Cossacks considered their weapons as treasured possession. This sword here is called a shashka. This sword is about 300 years old. It was passed down from grandfather to grandson. They say that Cossacks are born with a bullet in their mouth. In fact, it's not unusual for them to learn how to fight as soon as they can walk. Continuing on my Cossack journey, I made my way with Zhenya to the old town of Starocherkassk. This was the Resurrection Cathedral, another icon of Russia's warrior faith. Zhenya told me that many Cossacks had lived a life of battle. The church provided them with strength in times of conflict, and Cossack children were blessed here to grow up as brave soldiers, afraid of no one except God. That afternoon, Zhenya introduced me to Vladimir, a vice headman for the Cossacks in the Rostov region. Vladimir brought us to a historic site where the Cossacks had forged their legendary reputation as warriors. Today we're here at the Azov fortress where 3,000 Cossacks defeated over 300,000 Turkish soldiers in the 16th century. They built these underground tunnels to sneak up on them and defeat them when they were sleeping at night. After the tour, Vladimir gave me a quick lesson on old Russian military gear.
This is burka.
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 Burka. This winter coat was made of goat's hair and was both swordproof and bulletproof against muskets.
Но она могла применяться и...
But Vladimir's favorite toy was the Nagaika, a deadly all-in-one weapon for whipping people.
То есть палка твердая должна
Harder?
быть.
Oh, no, it's the extra move. All right. Help us stop. All right, how'd you take this one? Ready? Indiana Jones. It's all his fault right there. Getting abuse. They're abusing me here. My initiation was far from over as I hit the road again with Zhenya and the boys. To prepare for the challenges that lay ahead, I was tested with an old Cossack warrior game. Cossacks feel that it's very important not to be afraid of the knife. So Yuri is going to demonstrate his courage training today. Be careful not to try this at home. What do you think? Should I try it? Should I go for it?
Сейчас без напряжения.
I just want to let you know that I love all of you if I don't make you back. Crazy as this looks, the Cossacks do this to build up a feel for the weapon. The idea is just to relax and let the blade bounce off your body.
That's it. Raise up. Raise up.
I survived my first day of courage training here on the bus by Cossack. Along the way, I met the governor of the Volga region, who gave me a personally inscribed shashka. The guys gave it their vote of approval.
Good.
At the end of the day, all these games had a deadlier purpose. Back at Zhenya's village, I checked out a team of Cossacks who served as active Spetsnaz soldiers. For me, this was more than just a day trip. Although I'd survived so far, there was much more to come. That was awesome! Did you see that? My final day of training. The Cossacks showed me some of the military moves that they use in the special forces. But this was just a warm-up for the real test. They had something even more special lined up for me. Welcome to the Special Forces version of Russian Roulette. In Russian martial arts, Spetsnaz soldiers fight blindfolded to train their instincts. Like the Jedi Knights, some masters had an almost psychic ability. For a beginner like me, this was pretty dangerous turf. I hoped my lucky Cossack shirt, along with Pavel's special training session, would prepare me for my challenge. The figure eight motion is an important part of the blindfold training. Building the instincts so that if somebody tries to attack him from any position, I can use to defend myself using this type of motion. Watch as he punches here, I bring the arm in. I make the figure eight motion here, pulled in fast, take him down. I can do this from the front, or if he comes in like from behind, from here, I get the same type of motion. Hand comes to the back, here, comes around, then I can pull him down here. It's just a game. That's all it is. Just a game. There was no time for fear. I just had to do it. When you're fighting blind, you have to use all your senses to feel your way around. Relaxing and breathing were the keys to surviving this. I hoped some of my Moscow training would give me a fighting chance.
Под конец. Видно, что расслабился. Значит,
By the end, he says that you relax.
I relaxed at the end.
Yeah.
Doing better.
тебе стало как бы все равно.
You do not care.
И вот после этого пошла работа. То есть ты уже начал встречать в лицо, бросать.
The real work starts.
Почувствовал?
So, did you feel it?
Yes.
Like you're doing better?
Спасибо. Thank you.
Please.
And after all that excitement, there was only one thing left to do. Приятного аппетита! Let's party! My brief time with the Russians gave me a deep appreciation of them as people and as warriors. If you want to learn to fight, well, learn from the best because the Russians have it all covered. The martial arts were an essential part of who they were, and I could see why. I had a wild and crazy time in Russia. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later. До свидания!
Мы считаем, что возвращение к нашим российским истокам, к российским корням, а древнерусские единоборства насчитывают тысячелетнюю историю, глубоко символично для возрождающейся России.